As we know, the first Saturday in May always signals the start of racing season. We're getting set for the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby with some big news ahead of race day. Both Grande and Rodriguez dealing with foot bruises that will keep them out of the race. So the move there knocks the field down to 19. Grande won his first 2 career starts earlier this year, while Rodriguez was one of 2 horses entered by the legendary trainer Bob Baffert, who makes his return to Churchill Downs for the first time since being banned 3 years ago, I should say. The 151st running of the Kentucky Derby happening tomorrow evening. We're keeping our eye on the weather. There's a 90% chance of rain, but the best part of the sport, in my opinion, is always the names. Shout out to Journalism, my personal favorite. He's also the race favorite. He'll be joined by Sovereignty and Sandman as the top 3 horses entering the race. But keep your eye on Burnham Square. The long shot has 3 victories over his last 4 races. It could be the golden ticket on your betting slip. The running of the Derby, Saturday, 6:57 p.m. from Churchill Downs. I'm not sure if we'll see Sportsline's Tim Doyle's Golden Hammer in this segment, but he joins us now alongside Sportsline contributor Michelle Yu to set the scene. Guys, thanks so much for being with us. Let's start the conversation, guys, with Journalism. He enters the race with 3-to-1 odds. He's fast. He's got momentum on his side. But, guys, we know the favorite rarely wins this race. 2018 was the last time we saw it happen. Tim, I'll come to you first here. Is this the year we see that streak broken with Journalism?
I get it. Why you love Journalism. The record is good, and it's dominated California racing. But, Michelle, my question is, how deep were those fields? How many horses were in those fields? Now you got a young horse trying to navigate a 20-horse field. The odds are too short for me. I'm passing on Journalism.
I am going to go on Journalism. I mean, I know he's not beating up on a lot, but he did beat your juvenile champion in Citizen Bull pretty handily. I think that he's shown he has lots of upside, and you can't dictate who they line up against. He also beat Baeza, and Baeza has been the hype horse, especially now that he draws in off of the also eligibles. And I can see this too. Some of these races might have 10, 12 horses in it, but half of them don't belong in there. So for me, I'm going to take the horse that is the good-looking horse with upside that we know can win over a horse that might have beat more horses that we don't think are necessarily Kentucky Derby caliber. So I don't love 3-to-1 either. I think he's actually sitting around 4-to-1 right now, maybe 7-2. And I think those prices are actually pretty solid for a Derby favorite, even though it's not very popular to get the favorite home in front. I think he can do it, and I do like Journalism on top.
Hey, Michelle, real quick, while we've got this full screen up on the screen here, something I want to follow up on. Journalism won the Santa Anita Derby. It only had about 5 horses in that race. When you look at this being a much larger field today, how much do you think that plays a factor when he takes the race tomorrow?
It does have a big factor for him. So he is drawn really well, I think, at a post number 8. But if you watch those races where he's facing 4 and 5 horse fields, he still finds himself in trouble. I don't know if that's Journalism or if that's Umbi Rispoli just feeling extra confident on him. Umbi is going to have to ride a super smart race to be able to overcome all of the traffic. Now, this horse, I think, has enough kind of tactical speed that he's not going to be hanging out last. And he does this weird thing where he kind of drops back around the turn. If you watch all of his races at the 3/8 pole, looks like he's going to run last. He cannot do that this weekend. So we need to see him making a step forward from the way he runs his races to be victorious. And it's not just the number of horses, it's his running style as well.
Yeah, I want to mention as well the names. I'm obsessed with the horse racing names in this. The owner, Aaron Wellman, used to be the producer, or excuse me, the editor of his high school newspaper out in Beverly Hills, so hence the name Journalism. So a little fun fact for you guys there. Obviously, we got to talk about one of the bigger storylines, though, Tim. Bob Baffert making his return to Churchill Downs. Remember, he was banned for 3 years stemming from that drug test issue with Medina Spirit a few years ago. And it's a tough start already to the weekend, Tim. Before we talk about that, though, just your reaction and expectations for him as he makes his return to Churchill Downs.
Well, it's great to see him back. I mean, I'm a horse racing fan. We're talking about the GOAT of the Kentucky Derby. I think he dyes his hair white. Now, I dye my hair black, Michelle and Haley. I think he puts a little touch of white in there because that is a beautiful head of hair he has. Now, his kind of favorite of the 2 horses he had starting, Rodriguez, that was my pick. He is scratched. He's no longer going. So he is scratched down to Citizen Bull. I think Citizen Bull has ability. Now, what I don't like, Michelle and Haley, the 1 post, oh boy. Remember Dornock last year? Broke from the inside, got wiped out early. Bye-bye. So much of this is just navigating that trouble. You know, Michelle mentioned it. Journalism, of course, has huge talent. but he has some things about him. I'm just like, oh, if he drops back on the turn, he may get all of a sudden stuck behind horses. How's he going to get out? Last year we saw Mystic Dan get a beautiful trip, save all the ground up the inside. So much of this is the trip. You bet against Bob Baffert, you're asking for it, but from the one post, I'm going to take a pass.
All right, it is Beza, the runner-up from Santa Anita, who will replace him in the field. So we'll keep our eye on that. We're also, guys, keeping our eye on the weather. A 90% chance of rain when it comes time for the race to get underway. Michelle, how big of a deal is that when you're looking at these horses trying to win some money and win the competition?
Well, it's a super big deal. Anytime you go from perfect conditions into muddy, sloppy, even wet fast, that is going to change a lot of things. Some of these horses have never been on an off track before. Some of the horses don't mind the off going underneath, but they don't like the rain pelting them in the face if it's, big, heavy rains. Some of them don't like to have the mud caking on them where it doesn't, pop off like dry dirt does. Some of them are bred to improve with an off going, and the way the track handles water. Sometimes it can make the track a lot faster, where horses that are forwardly placed just continue on because horses behind can't kind of navigate through sludge. So it not only depends if it rains, but it also depends on how much rain we get and how far out from the Derby. And obviously weather is very hard to predict. Earlier on this week, it said it was supposed to rain yesterday, and now it's moved to Saturday. It's going to be a real big question mark, but there's certainly horses that you can upgrade and downgrade as we get closer based on the rain.
It always stinks when it rains there as well, because all the outfits are so extravagant that you hate to see the weather impact the horses. But also, you can tell where my priorities are. Paper towel.
You have clear raincoats now. Oh. So the women wear these clear raincoats, and they have these big hat covers that are all clear, so you can still see the outfits.
I love that. We're prioritizing the fashion always. Let's get to some betting here. And Tim, I'll come to you first here. When we talk about a long shot to win, I mentioned it earlier. We typically don't see the favorite winning, but we do see the long shot every now and then. So what you got your eyes on here as you make your winning plays?
Yeah, I'll say it right now. If it's raining, I'm not going. Or I have to be inside the entire time. With this head of hair, I am not putting a hat on, all right? I got to give the fans what they want. They want the good hair, they're going to get the good hair. If it's raining, it's ultimately my kryptonite. The long shot I like is Cole Battle. Now, won the Southwest Stakes. And if you look at the connections, you're like, who? A lot of journeyman jockey, journeyman trainer. Here's what I do like. He could be like 4th or 5th. If you're able to avoid trouble through that first turn because he has enough speed to be in the mix. I don't want to be 16th turning for home unless the fractions are 44 to the half, 109 to 3/4. Then the further back you are, the more likely you are going to win. So pace makes a lot of this race. I think Michelle makes a great point. If you want to nerd out and you're new to horse racing, watch the races leading up to the Derby. Where are horses coming from on the dirt? Are they normally 1st, 2nd, and 3rd? Or are they normally 8th, 9th, and 10th? Meaning, do you want to be close to the lead, or do you want to be coming from behind by the way the track is playing? But Cole Battle, I think it's an amazing story. I like Juan Vargas. I think he's 117 years old, but I've always seemed to find value with him, and I think he could be right in the mix, get a similar trip to Mystic Dan got last year.
Well, super fun story there with Lonnie Briley. I mean, he started training in the 90s. This is the first year he's ever had a graded stakes performer, and he was able to get himself all the way to the Derby with a $70,000 purchase. I just don't necessarily think that Cole Battle wants the 1.25 miles from a pedigree standpoint. My long shot, I'm going to go a little bit more obvious. We've already mentioned him on the show. Citizen Bull from Bob Baffert's barn. I know the rail is not a great place to be. It can cause all kinds of issues, and Bob himself hates the rail, but this Cole has tons of speed. He came into Churchill Downs, and he worked lights out, 58 and change. He is 20-1. He was last year's juvenile champion. He won the Breeders' Cup last year, which is not always the best thing for a Derby horse. I think he needed the race in the Santa Anita Derby when he was bested by journalism. If the track continues to play the way the track has been playing at Churchill this week, so speed favoring, he is going to be gone in a blink of an eye, and you guys are not stopping a Bob Baffert loose on the lead.
It is so good to hear his name back at Churchill Downs. By the way, guys, the biggest underdog win in the history of this race came way back in 1913 when Donerail's odds were 91-1 and he won it all. Rich Strike was the most recent back in 22 at 80-1. So that's your long shots there. Let's get to a pick to win. Michelle, I'll come to you first. Who you got your eyes on?
I mean, I'm going to go obvious. I'm just going to go journalism because if I'm trying to beat him, I'm going to have to go a lot of ways. I think as long as his price stays pretty square around the 7-2 mark, he's certainly worthy of a wager. I'm not going to only put win bets on him, though. I think Sovereignty has a chance. Obviously, Citizen Bull is my long shot play. So I'm going to spread some love around. But if you have to, feet to the fire, top pick, it's journalism. He is the horse to beat in here.
Yeah, I'm going to be my horse scratched. I liked Rodriguez. I thought that he had a chance to be in front.
No chance. No chance.
Well, now he has no chance because he's out of the race. So I'm going to be looking at Luxor Cafe. Now, you're going to go, who? Yeah, go back and watch some of the races this horse has had. Watch this move here. He was from the 11 hole. Now, where this race was being taken, I don't know. I just know it wasn't in the United States because they're running the wrong way. Look at the jockey right now. He hasn't even asked the horse to run. Now, you could tell when a jockey asks by the way they start pumping. That's like pump number 7, and now all of a sudden the horse has just exploded. So I like the fact that he could be on or close, meaning, 4th, 5th, or 6th. And now that move was eye-opening. And by the way, I like to look at the will pays and see where the future money is going. This horse is 15-1 in the morning line and is taking a ton of money in the early doubles because you can bet an Oaks double on Friday with a Kentucky Derby, and this horse is getting a lot of dough. I know we don't know a lot about it, but that move right there was eye-opening, and I think you're going to get some juicy odds. Why not throw it on Luxor Cafe?
I'm not going to lie.
If it makes you feel better, he's run from both directions. So he has actually run the correct way as well, and he has won going that direction.
I was going to say, we need Michelle on the show more often. She's keeping you in check, Tim Doyle. How you like that? Guys, the most exciting 2 minutes in sports ready to get going this Saturday. Guys, we appreciate your time. You can get more sports betting and racing plays on the Early Edge podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping you win big across all sports. You can check it out wherever you get your pods.